What's up, guys? Haven't made a video in a while, so I just decided just to turn on the camera and just talk about something that, I get a lot. Many people just getting into the car scene, always ask me, and they ask a lot of people I know, what's the best first beginner mod you can do to your car? And I really feel like that's subjective. It really depends what kind of direction you're going in when it comes to modifying your car. There's a lot of people that, buy a car, trying to go into the performance aspect of things. And then you have the other spectrum of people that, they like more, stance, low cars, slammed cars, wheels, all that kind of stuff. So it really depends on the direction you're trying to go in. My personal take, for me, what I've done with my cars, I like a little bit of both. I like performance cars. I like doing performance modifications as well as doing suspension mods and making the car look good with wheels and whatnot. But one thing that I have in common that I've done with all my cars personally, usually the first thing I do is my exhaust. Every car that I've owned, I've done some kind of like exhaust modification, whether it be, muffler delete, resonator, straight pipes, I've done all that kind of stuff. That's usually one thing I have in common, depending, on, well, not depending, but on every car that I've owned and purchased, that exhaust is definitely one of the first things that I've done. But like I said, it really depends. I feel if you're going into like the performance aspect of a car, like I said before, I feel the first thing you should do is probably exhaust. I feel like an exhaust really makes or breaks a car. The tone your car has really, defines the kind of like the character of the car. If a car sounds bad, it might look good, but you'll be driving down the road and somebody just points out how bad the car sounds. That can really make or break a car. And exhaust is huge. People spend hours on YouTube looking up their cars, looking up different exhaust setups, how their car sounds with a muffler delete or a resonator delete, or what their car sounds with a certain brand exhaust on it, or what a car sounds like with a straight pipe on it. Is it beneficial? Do you get any actual gains out of it? There's a lot of stuff when it comes to exhaust, and I feel like an exhaust is one of the most crucial modifications you could do to a car, and it's one of the most, I would say, best bang for your buck. Like I said, an exhaust could really make or break a car, depending what you do to it. So that's if you're going in the performance realm. I say, exhaust is one thing that's definitely like really good. Another thing that's, very beneficial that you can buy. A lot of people like to go with an intake, when they're doing their performance side of things when you're a beginner. I think an intake's very effective. There's a lot of myths and stuff out there saying that intakes really don't do or really don't give you any gains, but in a sense, they sound cool. They look good. It makes the engine bay look a lot nicer. And like I said, they just sound really good. So I feel an intake, usually there's a lot of cost-effective intakes out there that, you can go with. Or a lot of people even fab up DIY ones from like AutoZone. You could do that if you want to go something really cheap. A lot of people just buy like the silicone couplers and, they'll buy like a little piece of pipe and then the filter. You could make a really cheap intake, from going to an auto parts store, which is really cool. It's kind of nice how, they offer that stuff even for people, like us that, we're more we're just deeper into the modified game where, we might need a coupler or we might need, some little piece of tube, or we just might need a filter right away. We could just, go down to the auto parts store and pick one up now, which is great. So it's really beneficial that these, stores are, offering a bigger variety of intake parts now, because it can really help us, in the short and the long run, to be honest. Now, if you're into, the whole stance, slam car scene, depending on the kind of car you want, there's a couple ways you can go. Definitely, if you're going to go into the whole, stance world, you always need to slam or lower your car before you buy wheels. Don't be the person that, buys wheels when their car is not lowered. It looks awful, 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 awful. Never put wheels on your car without lowering your car if you are going to go into a stance scene with your vehicle. Just don't do it. It doesn't look good. It makes you look awful. Just lower the car. The first thing if you're going to the stance obviously would be doing some kind of suspension. My recommendation would be coilovers or air ride. You could do springs depending how much the springs lower your car. But usually when you do springs, the only bad thing about it is you only get one ride height all around and you can't adjust it. And at the same time, typically when you do springs, you always want to get a little more, low. So unfortunately, once you do springs, you're kind of stuck. So do I recommend springs? It really depends on what you're doing. If you're looking to get as low as possible, springs aren't for you. It is the cheapest option usually, but you know, if you're trying to get, you know, maximum load, don't do springs. That's kind of a waste of money. The cheapest option, typically, depending, you know, what brand you're getting, would be coilovers. Yes, there are a lot of coilovers that are thousands of dollars because, you know, they have adjusted dampening and all that. But if you're just looking for something to lower your car and just look good, you know, there's some coilover options. You know, you have Raceland. I know people hate on Raceland, you know, they're cheap, but there's Raceland option, you know, they're like $400. Or you could get something, you know, I know FK sells, you know, cheap coilovers. Godspeed sells cheap coilovers. You know, $500-600. ST is a really good brand that's, you know, $700-800 depending on what kind of car you have. So suspension's really not too expensive, and it makes a big difference. You know, when you delete the wheel gap out of a car, it makes a, you know, it makes the car look a ton better. You know, wheel gap on any car is really ugly. Obviously, you know, not like a truck or anything, but if you have a car that you're trying to modify, wheel gap is horrible. You don't want any kind of wheel gap, and that's understandable. I would say coilovers is your most cost-friendly if you're trying to keep it on a budget. Like I said, you could go with brands with like Raceland and Godspeed FK, where, you know, these coilovers are not too expensive and it gets the job done. It makes the car look low. Yeah, they don't ride the best, but, you know, you pay for what you get, and you got to understand that. You could also do air ride. Now, if you bag a car, yes, it's going to be more expensive. Yes, the installs are more expensive. You don't know what you're doing. You know, air ride kits for cars could be, you know, from anywhere from, you know, $1,800 with manual management up to $3,000+, and even more, you know, if you need to get a custom set done for your car. You know, they have different, you know, managements and systems. They have anything, like I said, from manual, where's the 4 valves, to V2 with the little controller. Even now they have 3P, 3H. You know, there's all different realms of air ride that costs, you know, from, like I said, it can be anywhere from $1,800, maybe a little more, maybe a little less, up to $3,000+, even more than that. So if you want something like that, yes, air ride is more convenient. You can slam the car when you're parked. You can adjust your ride height while you're driving so that you don't destroy your car like you would when you're static. You know, some people don't like the air ride. You know, there's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot of wiring, a lot of electricals. Sometimes the air ride fails. So there's a lot of positives and negatives. Me personally, I think bags are just the way to go. You know, you can slam the car when you're parked. You can have a nice ride height so you're not destroying your car when you're driving, which is great. And it just looks good. It's just a good look. You know, it turns heads. You know, if you're at a meet or a car show, you know, people love seeing bag cars everywhere. It's just a good call and a good following. That's my personal recommendation. It is more expensive, though. It's not one of those beginner, like, cost-friendly mods, you know, like a cheap exhaust or, like, coilovers, you know, something like that. This is more of, like, a, yeah, it could be a first mod, but you're going to spend money on it. And you have to understand that, like, it's not going to be a cheap mod. So that's my recommendation. You know, if you're going in the stance world, you either got to slam the car on coilovers or just save the money, get air ride, get bags, and just, you know, slam the car on the ground. And obviously, with that, you know, you could definitely do, you know, wheels. You know, a lot of people are doing aero now when it comes to, you know, to that. Some people like to stay away from the performance and just like doing stance. Like I said, you know, do the coilovers and bags and then do wheels, do some aero. And that's okay too. You know, some people want to go that direction. And I think like the, you know, the final direction, which is just the, I guess, the simplest way to modify a car and, you know, make it look cool. A lot of people, you know, they'll do tints. You know, tints is one of the cheapest mods that, you know, can really make a car look different. You know, cars look a lot different tinted without, you know, with tints and without tints. So tint is a very good first mod to do, and it's one of the cheapest things. A lot of other people like to do, you know, little cosmetic changes, you know, painting their emblems. Some people like to powder coat or paint their stock wheels, make the car look a little different. You know, you could do something like that. A lot of people like to change up stuff in the interior, you know, do like LED lights. A lot of people like to do HIDs and LED lights in the front, stuff like that. You know, that's pretty much the cheapest things you could do if you're trying to just get your, you know, just get the ball rolling, you know, from the inside and then outside. You know, you could even modify the interior. You know, if you drive a manual transmission car, you know, you could change the shift knob. A lot of people change the e-brake. You know, a lot of people change their shift boot. A lot of people change their steering wheel, do little quick releases and stuff. That's all stuff you can do to, you know, get your foot in the car game. You know, that's just my opinion. So if you had to ask me, whether I do stance, whether I do performance, you know, I do a combination of everything. I like slam cars, but I like having cars that sound good and perform well. But my first mod, usually when it comes to any kind of car, I do my exhaust. That's the first thing I do. I need a car that has an exhaust note. That's just me. that would be my personal recommendation for a first mod. Exhaust is super important, like I said. And from exhaust, usually I'll do an intake on my car, and then I'll focus on things like, you know, slamming it, do wheels, and then I'll come back and do, you know, a tune on the car, things like that. So that's my recommendation. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know, you know, what mods you guys started out with, what kind of car you guys have, what you've done to your car, and let me know, you know, if you enjoyed the video, guys, please, you know, like, comment, subscribe. I know I haven't been too active recently, but I'm going to be making a lot more videos. I have a couple of videos lined up with people that want me to just go over their car, do exhaust clips, you know, do little reviews here and there. I'm going to start off slow by doing that, and then, you know, if there's any topic you guys want me to talk about, we can do that. I know, you know, a lot of people, I get messages a lot, you know, on my DMs, Instagram, Snapchat, just asking me, you know, what's done to my car. You know, they just purchased the car. What's the first mods they should be doing? So I'd be happy to, you know, answer those questions in videos. You know, I think that's the most effective way. So it can reach out to you guys that are asking me, and it can reach out to a bigger community. You know, as YouTube, you know, if people are looking up, you know, best first mods to do to your car, you know, these videos pop up and people could just get a good opinion on just one out of the, you know, the thousands or millions of people that go through this every single day. So guys, I hope you enjoyed. Like I said, like, comment, subscribe. I will be putting out more videos soon. I hope you enjoy. Hopefully everybody's having a, you know, a good day. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.